And now, Move the Sticks with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Sticks. DJ Buck with you. Buck, we're closing in, dude.
I mean, we're here, DJ. The conversations and stuff are coming fast and furious. It's lying season, so you're trying to kind of figure out what's real and what's fake. But it's an exciting time because we got less than a week. Well, we got a week before the draft, and we'll kind of have all of it put to bed soon.
100%. We've got a bunch of ground to cover today. We got Buck's top fives. We're going to jump into that. But before we get there, let's kick things off here. It's time for Hot or Not, brought to you by Wasabi Hot Cloud Storage. You mentioned kind of the rumors and the information that's floating around. I joked that during this time of the year, I start my day every day with a cup of coffee and 3 lies. Like it's just what you're hearing from teams. Like that's kind of where we are. But to me, it is interesting, making phone calls around the league. And, the main conversation that I have with teams is who's going to be there when we pick. Like that's all they want to know. That's what they're looking to get from us during this time of the year. And then in return, like I get some, medical character stuff on guys that could fall, could drop, which is helpful as we get towards the draft. And you kind of get a sense of teams that are picking in different areas of the draft where they think guys outside of their range are going and how they have them stacked, how their coaches viewed them. And one, I don't say it's a rumor. I think it's a fact, Buck. In talking to teams, it's somewhat like this in years where teams have quarterbacks that those teams tend to kind of poo-poo the class. But man, I don't remember it like this. Like there's a lot of teams out there who think Cam Ward is the only first-round quarterback. Like there's a lot of teams, and those aren't the quarterback teams. So take that for what it is.
So let's be real, because I think sometimes, DJ, we've been doing the media part of it for so long that sometimes it's easy when we're on TV to get away from the true ideals and the true values that we have as scouts. And I'll be honest, when I go through and I look at my grades on Cam Ward, Shedeur, all those guys, what that would rate in a draft meeting room, bottom of the first round grades. That's what it would be. Now, we've talked about in recent years, like guys get pushed up or whatever, which is more of a media thing or whatever. But if you're a team in need of a quarterback and Cam Ward is the best quarterback on your board, you have to take him whenever you're picking. That's just what it is. But in terms of how these guys stack up, how they stack up traditionally over those guys, I'm going to say it. I don't believe anybody in this class is a transcendent quarterback. There's no one that I would have that I would suggest has the wow factor that the elite of the elite quarterback prospects that we've drafted have. That's just a fact. But every year is a year that you have to evaluate, and these are the quarterbacks in this class. And so you have to figure out who's the best of the class. And if I need one, and I haven't gotten one in free agency, I got to take one, and I got to make it. I got to make the best out of what I get, meaning I get him. I got to surround him with the other stuff to allow him to be successful. And that's just how it goes. But yeah, like I wouldn't say that this is a class that they hail like the 1983 class with, Jim Kelly and Elway. It's not a class. So that's what it is.
Yeah, and in regards to that, the sentiment, we're a little over a week out. This is where we are. This is everybody that I've talked to and kind of looking at the situation. I would feel comfortable saying this. I believe that Cam Ward at this point in time is the only quarterback who will be a team's first pick in this draft, if that makes sense. In other words, Jackson Dart, Shedeur Sanders, I think will be a team's second pick. Now, that doesn't mean they don't go in the first round. They could easily, teams come back up and take them. But they're going to hold up the jersey and have the press conference with another player first, and then they're going to introduce the quarterback they took with their next pick. Like that's where it looks now, a week out. If you're tracking with me there,
I'm tracking with you, because I think here's the other thing, and I'm gonna ask you this, DJ: who are the elites in the draft? Like, how many guys do you think are the elite prospects in this draft class? I said there were 5, but I said there were 5, and in whatever order you want to list them, I had Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, I think Ashton Genty is there, Tyler Warren, and then I put Jalen Walker.
Yeah, I had only one I had in that mix was Loveland. I had 6.
So that's 6. So that's a reasonable expectation. So just think about it. In most years, we talk about 8, maybe 10. being elite. We talk about 18 to 22 first rounders. What that says is this is a draft that doesn't have like A's and A pluses. It's more of an A minus B plus draft. And depending upon what you need and how it fits, that's how it works. When it comes to the quarterbacks, if we were doing the vertical board where we're ranking them, so your top 50 is what we would call a vertical board, where you just ranking them from 1 to 50 based on grade, not worrying about position. Where are those guys listed? Where's Cam Ward listed on your board?
Yeah, he's like, well, to me, in this draft, he's like my 8th or 9th guy. But I mean, that's what this draft is.
Traditionally,
He's got the same
yeah.
grade. He's got the same grade. Like, to me, if I'm pull it up right now. So, like, full transparency, he was, I think I gave him a 64. Yeah, so I gave him a 64. And then I have, like, put it in perspective, Quinshon Judkins. This is how, like, this is the kind of the parody of this draft. Quinshon Judkins, I gave a 64 as a running back. Quinshon Judkins is my 38th player.
So that's what it is.
So to me,
right?
like that, to me, it's not like I'm not elevating him over higher rated players. I'm saying all of these players in this clump are all graded with the same grade, which is just
they're
solid starters.
And so what that does is we talk about beauty being the eye of the beholder. And so you talked about guys saying, hey, they are the second guy. They're not the first person that you can present out with the jersey. They're the complement to, hey, we took this guy. Oh, and we also got yeah. So, but that's what it is. And for me, look, I had in my notebook, I had the same grade, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. I just have them flipped. And the only reason I have them flipped because the controversy in my top 5 is like Shedeur over Cam Ward. And the only reason why Shedeur Sanders carries that grade is I just have these voices of these quarterback coaches in my ear that have said for years, the only 2 things I care about when it comes to quarterback play, accuracy and decision making. And so when I look at it, I'm like, well, man, he's the most accurate. And his decision making on time is, look, excellent. And then when you throw toughness in, I was like, okay, I can rock with him or whatever. Now, the draft part of it is a beauty pageant where you want all the other things. But in terms of playing, I think he plays it in a professional manner that has worked for years and years on end, which is why he's first. And we'll see what it plays out, but that's just why I have Shedeur first. Cam Ward has superior traits and tools when it comes to arm talent, whatever. But I'm not gonna lie, DJ. He scares me sometimes with the loosey-goosey stuff. Like he's so loosey-goosey that I'm like, man, like, can he rein it together? But that's the differences. That's where it is. But when we talk about the draft and landing spots, Shedeur Sanders could be in for a long day if Cam Ward goes 1, if the Giants take best player available at 3, the Saints take best player available at 9, there is a long drop. Then you have the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21. Would they go back and do the quarterback thing again when they did Kenny Pickett at 20 a couple years ago and it didn't work out? So you move them there. The LA Rams are at 26. Do they want to take a quarterback of the future with Matthew Stafford? If they don't, DJ, that's the end of the first round.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's just what it is. So we named Giants are 1, Saints, Steelers. There's 4 landing spots. That's it. All the stuff that we talk about the first round, there are 4 landing spots for quarterbacks. And when we talk about the landing spots, the spot has to match up with the talent and the grade. And if the spot is here and the talent is down here, you're not pulling the trigger because now you're going against all the philosophies and theories that you've had in the draft room. So that is the dilemma when it comes to Shedeur Sanders and company in this draft.
To me, totally honest, this feels exactly like, and they're different players. I'm not comparing them as players. This feels exactly like with Shedeur the week before the Will Levis draft, where Will Levis was, if you remember, it was Colts who were 4, I believe. They were supposed to be the Levis team. So if not Colts, you couldn't connect him to anybody else. So it was like, it sounds weird to say, if this guy's going to go 4, he could fall out of the first round. And that's like the Giants with Shedeur. The Giants are the last, to me, almost like the kind of the last hope there. And if they don't do it, I don't know where he goes, man.
There's not a spot. And I love him and his dad. but part of it is being real. There's not a spot because it's not only the grade, it's who's available. It's like catching a cab in New York. The light has to be on. There are a lot of people that are buzzing around Manhattan, but the light's not on. And so if the light's not on, you're not going. And you can hope that someone wants to move into the bottom of the first round and all that stuff. But DJ, still, the top of the second round looks like the first round. Who is going to move in? I mean, there's a limit. And the thing that I hate, because like this is what we do, particularly on our side, and because it impacts the people, the draft picks and their families, we'll talk these guys up like, hey, Jackson Dart could go, and maybe, but maybe not. And I don't want people to get caught up because we did this years ago with Malik Willis and that class, and we tried to put all these guys in the first round. And when draft day came, the league was like, yeah, no, we're not. We don't see them as that. We don't see, because Kenny Pickett was the Malik Willis draft, right?
Yeah. He was the only one.
And they were like, yeah, we don't see them as that. And I think Desmond Ridder was in that class too. So now when we go to it and Desmond Ridder gets his chance and all this other stuff, like it doesn't end up working out because the talent is the talent. And ultimately you have to grade the talent because that's how it turns out. And that's also why we're having this thing, little sneak peek on path to the draft. We're talking about, hey, is it worth taking a quarterback in the second round? And my thing was, how many of those guys have worked out?
Yeah.
Like, it sounds great when we're theorizing, like, oh, we can go and get this guy in the second round. DJ, it's a first-round quarterback league. The guys that play quarterback in this league are first-rounders. That's what it is. I mean, Brock Purdy's an outlier. Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, they're outliers.
Yeah.
They're not the norm. This league is a first-round quarterback league because when we grade quarterbacks with a first-round grade, they check off enough boxes when it comes to the redeeming qualities to play the position at a high level in the pros. Yeah. And if you don't have those skills, the odds suggest that you're not going to play quarterback at a high level. That's just what it is.
It'd be interesting to go back and look at those guys who have been successful non-first round picks. Most of them were afforded some patience, right? Didn't come in with fanfare, had another quarterback there. I think Jalen Hurts is a great example. Like he didn't have to step right in, like that was kind of a process. Carson Wentz thing kind of happened and then he, off he goes. But there's less pressure with those guys. And you to me, like if we're talking about you're taking a quarterback in the second round and you're hoping he's going to be your answer, like in the near future, like to me, that's, and when you're talking about a coach is on hot seats, need a guy to come in and play right away, then you either take one in the first round or you probably should wait. You
should wait.
If you have time, if you got time and you're the Eagles, you can take a flyer on Jalen Hurts. It might hit it, but
yeah, but also they come in with less expectations. They also come in on a different plan in the building. So the plan in the building for Jalen Hurts when he stepped in the Eagles wasn't to get him ready to start. It was simply to make him a better player.
Yeah.
And then you look up on the practice field and then you and I on the side like, hey, you know what? Hey, Jalen looks pretty good. He's kind of giving the defense some work. Like, oh, maybe it surprises us that he developed the way that he developed. But it wasn't the expectation that he was going to come in. And those expectations drive everything inside and outside. Because if you take him and they're saying, oh, we got to get him ready to play. Well, now the fans are like, hey, we got to get the second round pick on the field. And you're like, we took him in the second round pick.
Yeah.
Because he's a developmental guy, not because he's a finished product. So the expectations and all that other stuff, it can get out of whack if you take someone at the wrong position.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. Well, there's a little idea of kind of what's cooking on the hot stove there. That was this week's Hot or Not segment brought to you by Wasabi Hot Cloud Storage. Store more and do more with your data. Try them for free at wasabi.com. All right, Buck, let's jam through your top fives. I want to know your toughest decision in these positions. So I will give you the floor. Is this your final? Is this the final edition?
I don't know. It's the final edition until I wait the day before the draft and say, hey, can I put one more up there? Yeah. To make sure I get it right. Look, we had the toughest conversation. So the toughest conversation for me is, one, DJ, these things run atypical to how we operate in the real world, right? The real scouting world. We're not going to continue to keep doing these updates on updates on updates when it comes to rankings because there aren't any more games to watch. There's no more film to watch. So, like, what are we doing? But to play along for this, the toughest thing for me was one, standing firm with the quarterback, which look,
Mhm.
I'm the outlier in the situation. Um, Putting Travis Hunter in at wide receiver officially because my heart of hearts, I believe that he is better served to be a DB. But I've come around to the fact that A, he wants to play wide receiver. And two, when I rate him as a wide receiver compared to the other guys, he's the most
Yeah.
intriguing prospect because of what he brings to the table. So that part is everything. And the more I listen to him, the more I fall in love with like how committed he is to the game. Like I heard you say on TV yesterday, man, you just love him. The more that you hear him talk, he's all about the right stuff, which is why I'm a big believer. Um, Moving Mason Graham up to that third spot and
Mhm.
saying that he could be the third tight end to go in the first round. To
Mason
me,
Taylor. Mason Taylor.
Mason
Yeah.
Taylor, yeah, Mason
Yeah.
Taylor, moving him up to the third spot. To me, he's intriguing because I gave him the look over and I was like, man, he's really good. But now I'm like, okay, at the bottom of the first round, there's a lot of stuff there. I think he's a really safe bet to be really productive. And there's some teams that are going to be in need of a tight end in the 20s. So he
Mhm.
fits. So early on offense, those were the biggest debates that I had.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was talking to a team. I was talking to two teams, and we were talking about who's your we got wiped out pick. You've been in there. You know how that is.
Yep.
It's like, hey,
Woo,
gosh, we're hoping we get two of these guys, but like, man, if we get wiped out, like all the
this is that
guys that
guy.
we had up there and they're gone, like, you know who the two guys are that to me make the most sense is like, okay, we got cleaned out, so I'm comfortable taking this guy. Mason Taylor is one,
Mhm.
double off the wall every day of the week,
Yep.
and Travion Henderson's the other one.
Oh, good.
Character, production, intelligence, all that stuff, like both. I mean, and Trayvon Henderson, you might even both these guys you could hit big. Trust me, I've seen Ed Reed was viewed as a double, and he's
Yeah. Hit it
maybe the
right in the
greatest
gap.
safety of all
Hitting it right
time.
in the gap. Boop. Right in the gap.
So I've seen those guys be more than that. But to me, like high floor guys, I think like Mason Taylor, Travion Henderson, like, hey, we got wiped out. You can do a lot worse. Those guys are going to start for you and be impact players.
And I'm with you on that. And there's something to that when we're going through the process and making sure that we have the right guys and doing those things. Like that's a part of it. DJ, one of the conversations that I've had is I'm on Mimbu.
Yeah.
Man, I like coming out of the combine, looking at the tape, like just fell in love with him. But I don't get that same sentiment in when I talk to people in the league. I don't get the same sentiment that he is viewed maybe with the same adoration that I may have on this side or whatever. And it's funny because when you look at someone 330 pounds run what he runs at the combine, and you look at the tape and he's moving, he's a zone buster all day. He
Mhm.
can do all those things. There's a lot to like, but man, the feedback I get from some of my buddies, they're like, I don't know,
And
this and that. I don't know if he's what you think, Buck. So it's a challenge.
yeah, there's always guys that I have that. There's always one guy that I'm like, I'm too low on this guy late in the process, right? And I've
Mhm.
heard it, and trust what I saw. Can't unsee it. So I'm gonna move this player up a little bit because I've gone back and done more work on him. But the one player I would say that I'm probably at the outlier or most odds with people, and I don't have enough conviction to just completely hold my ground on this particular player is Banks, is the tackle from Texas. There's a
Mm.
lot of teams have him as the top tackle in the draft. Now they might
Yeah.
necessarily be
I
taking one, but he's
Mhm.
viewed higher than where I have him. And I've had other people look. I've had from agents to scouts to coaches say, "Gosh, we like him better than you do." And I'm like, I get it, but I didn't. This is what I didn't see. I didn't see a strain to finish. I couldn't get the Georgia game out of my head, and guys got on his edges and blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, he's clean character wise. He's big. He's got good feet. He's
Mhm.
young. He's a really young kid. So he's one of those guys. Every year, there's always like late in the process where you're like, sometimes you got to fall on the sword a little bit and be like, okay,
Yeah, I
might have missed
I
one.
feel you. So here's the thing, because I have him fourth, but
Yeah.
DJ, I have all these guys kind of rated similar, right? So I
Oh,
have
yeah.
him, Josh Simmons, and Banks. They all are right there, right? And Simmons has the knee issue, but like the talent is crazy, you know. But then when you
Mhm.
look at Banks, like Banks is super talented and athletic and all that. And I hear you with the strain to finish and all of that other stuff. But then you look at typically, man, guys that are that big, that can move around like that have like the shadow boxing skills or whatever, like it's
Yeah.
intriguing. And when you start factoring in the character, because we've talked about this, like, man, this being a year where there kind of been more character things on some of the
Mhm.
O linemen than we're used to seeing. Normally, those are the safe guys that, you talk about, hey, we get wiped out, take this guy. It's a
Yeah.
little different in this class. I can understand why people would skew towards Banks because he is so clean when it comes to the character and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, like, I wouldn't be shocked if Banks was the 6th pick to the Raiders just based off of, talking
Hmm.
to people around the league and, different things. So, that's not where I have him, but he'll move up. He'll be in. I'll probably get him up into the low 20s on my final one, which he's still going to go higher than that. But that's one.
Um,
It's just at the end of the process, you kind of get a sense of where people are, and I'm gonna stick to my guns on the guys that I have firm conviction on, and I'm fine. Like, to me, Barron, like, okay, Barron could go much later than where I have. I'm a Barron guy. I believe in it. I feel like I've seen
mhm,
this player
mhm.
multiple times over the last few years, and it translates. I'm not bumping. Like, that's fine. You guys take him later. I'll be the high guy on him, what have you. But then there's other guys where you're like, you know what? Kind of, just kind of, I wasn't
I don't care
swayed
as much.
high either
Yeah,
way. And I'm like, I'm not going to have
yeah.
enough arrogance and ego to say that I got it right and the whole rest of the league got it wrong, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And sometimes you pick and choose your battles, when to fight the good fight or not. And I understand that. And you talk about Jade Barron. I like him as a player. I like that, now that we've created this new position. I also love the fact that DJ nickel corners are getting paid because it's now
Yep.
finally after all these years, it's
Gordon got
justification for
paid.
putting that 12th position on the board. Before it was kind of a throwaway. Well, now we have a true nickel position that you can say, no, this guy is a nickel, not because he's too short, not because he's slow, but no, he has the skill set to play it. Jade Barron kind of fits the bill in that regard. One of the things that I have is like the Will Johnson conversation. I
Mhm.
think with Will Johnson, I've been, I guess I would say, lenient, and I'm lenient on his grade because of the Derek Stingley thing. Meaning, I remember seeing Derek Stingley as a freshman and seeing, like, later the one on ones against the crew from LSU, Jefferson and Chase and those things, but he didn't finish it off with a bang. I still go back to looking at Will Johnson at his best and being like, man, he is so good when he's right and he's healthy and he's on the field. And I know he has a ton of injuries and little nicks and knacks and stuff, but when he plays and he's right, he is as good as it gets at the position, which is why I still hang on to him with a high grade that I put on.
Yeah. No, it's and feel free to do that. I think, to me, scheme fit's going to be big for him.
Everything. And
Yeah, I don't think you want to press him
everything.
up and leave him alone. But there's a lot of teams. The best thing for him. The best thing for him is that they won the national championship with a dominant defense, and their defense, in terms of coaches, has scattered around the NFL. And there's a lot of people with proof of concept of, like, not only they know the kid individually, but they're like, I know how this guy
I know
works
how
and
to
what we're doing.
I know
Yeah,
how to use them. I know
yeah,
how to use them. I know where he play. To me, and I'm saying, like, in terms of the grade, in terms of how I expect him to play. But DJ, in a perfect world, him going to the Packers at 23 to me is like the right fit. It's the
yeah.
right fit in terms of how he played. But more importantly, we used to do those segments on TV with, instructions, give them
Hmm.
instructions on how to use them. You put him in Green Bay's defense, which is a see ball, get ball defense, vision and break, play off, look at the quarterback all day. He's an all day
Hmm.
sucker, play at a high level. And a lot of that, I wish for these guys, we could play matchmaker. Like, oh no, let's put him with this team and that team. And so we can see the best of him. Will Johnson, for a team like that wants to play off, man, he would be great. He also obviously would be great, in at your team with the Chargers because not only do they know
Yeah.
him, but sitting there playing the style that they play works all day.
I think the Chargers, when I looked it up, were 30th in man coverage percentage last year. So, I mean, obviously he's played in that defense, plays top down with vision, and then just go make plays. So,
I did not know. Like, here's the trick.
yeah,
I did not know that they really didn't play man to man
nope,
at all. That they're
nope.
playing that much zone and keeping it in front and keeping the score down and and
Hmm.
and all of that. That is amazing because remember, for so long we talked about quarterback plays too good. You got to lock up and take away the easy throws. And the Chargers like, no, we don't.
Yeah,
We gonna keep in front. We're gonna rally and
you'll mess
tackle.
up.
You
You'll mess
can't.
up. Yeah,
Yeah, you can't keep dinking and dunking the ball down the field. At some point, you're gonna throw us a bad one. So I get
Yep, you will mess it up. All right. Any other interesting dilemmas you had on the defensive side of the ball in your top fives?
it. But nah, man, I think it's the usual suspects. I think the linebackers and stuff were pretty clean. Um, the pass rushers and those things. I think the D tackles, right? Like,
Hmm.
I don't think people give enough love to Darius Alexander. I know you brought him up very, very early in the
Yeah.
process, but he is one that I've stuck with. I dropped Kenneth Grant down a little bit because I feel like every year during this process, early we value run stuffers, but then when we get to the draft, they all come down a little bit because we value pass rushers over run stoppers. And that's why I kind of moved him down to 4. But
Yeah, Darius Alexander to me, like there's ones where I'm like, I'm probably leaning a little hot, or maybe I'm a little cold. Like like he's my
I don't
he,
know.
he's my 47th player, Buck, and that's like one guy I tell me like he looks like the 47th pick. Like to
I
me,
don't
like that's his value.
DJ, I don't know. I have him as the 50 tackle. I look at him on tape and I'm like, maybe I'm off. Like,
Mhm.
because I see him moving, I see all the athletic stuff,
Freaking long,
super
yeah.
long, and I'm like, man, like, why can't he go? Like, why can't
He's
he
a little
be?
older, but I don't know that anybody really
Yeah,
cares anymore.
like why can't he go or whatever? And then I'm pulling up. I wanted to see when Chris Jones was drafted because I remember watching Chris
He was
Jones.
early too,
He
I
was
believe, right?
37. He was
Yeah.
37th overall. But DJ,
Mhm.
I remember watching him in Mississippi State, and he had some other stuff. But like, I'm like, look, man, this dude is over here. You don't see big
Yeah.
guys that can move like that. And his movement as a bigger guy is different at D tackle than Kenneth Grant, even a little different than Mason Graham in terms of
Mhm.
movement. And I just think we've seen time and time again that we'll look at him in 3 and be like, man, how was he a second round pick?
Yeah. Yeah. No, he is a good football player. I squeezed him into the back end of a couple mock drafts. I think I had him with the
Oh, you
Rams.
did early.
Yeah.
Early
Yeah.
because and I know DJ well enough to know me like, hold on. Where's this name come from? This name
Yeah.
is out the blue. It's one of the first or second mock drafts. I was like, okay. All right, a little birdie's tipped him off. Let me go in here
Yeah.
and find him. Yeah, he's a
Well,
good
he
player.
just looks different when you're watching the Toledo tape and you're kind of jamming through all the DTs and you're like, okay, that looks a little different than the rest of these dudes I've been watching. So, no, I'm excited for this thing to get here, dude. We've kind of made it down to the end. I keep saying the same thing to everybody. My message to teams is very simple. Get you 3. Just go get you 3 starters in this draft, wherever you
And
can
get out.
find them. Don't worry about the positions this year. You come out of this thing with a starting tight end, running back, and DT, you're gravy. Like they're out there. Go find them. Go get them.
And then get out.
Yeah.
Because next year's gonna be, I would say, a
You want to know
better year
something
when it comes to
crazy?
it. Yep.
I was looking this up. I got to confirm it, but I believe Philadelphia has 12 picks next year. 12.
Wow.
All those guys they lost in free agency, they got paid, you know. The DT got big money with the Patriots, Milton Williams. You've got
Mhm.
Sweat who got good money. Becton got a little bit of money. On and on and on. They lost some guys. And so of course Howie Roseman's already locked and loaded for next year. But,
Of course he is. Of course he's locked and loaded and wants to put it in.
yeah.
So crazy.
So, anyways, all right. We got to run. This has been a fun one. We appreciate you guys hanging with us. We are almost there. I've got my press conference call thing coming up, so that'll be released. I think sometime Friday. Maybe even
Ooh.
bleeds into Saturday, but that's coming up. So I don't think this one's as long, but the other ones, man, the first one we went over 3 hours. So I'm hoping that's not the case here.
It's a lot of info, a lot of questions, a lot of random
Gotta
stuff.
get
Like, hey DJ,
it's cough drop
tell me,
season.
tell me about the DB at Catawba. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Watched a lot of Monmouth tape over the last couple of weeks. By the way, I do love the fact that the Montana State quarterback's getting some love because when I did watch him, he is fun. He ran 4.3s, like he's fun.
Oh yeah, the conversation about him kind of being an ATH, an athlete, kind of
Yeah.
moving around, being an offensive weapon. I will say this: he dominated for them at that level. I mean, they were a
he's
fun
fun.
offense to watch. He was all over the place.
Yeah, good player. All right, that's gonna do it for us. Appreciate you hanging. We'll see you next time right here on Move the Sticks.